Hello,
Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good, good. Sorry, we had I don't know what happened today in the teams, but yeah, there's some issue looks like.
We use it all the time, and there's been no problem so far.
No
Things
worries, no worries. I think we should be good now. No, thanks for. I think while the team kind of joins in, I think only a couple of us have joined in, and other people should be joining in anytime soon. So first of all, thank you for actually joining at short notice. I know just spoke only last week, and you kindly agreed to spend some time with us. So thank you for that. Just in terms of context, we are doing 2 days offsite here, and a couple of us are actually joining fresh in the team, including myself. I've joined this team around 2 months back, and we are kind of coming together first time and gathering our thoughts from the external leaders as well. So before we met you, we just kind of finished our conversation with our business leader at India Development Center, and kind of really trying to provoke our thinking on how we should set our priorities for next year. Because from Microsoft perspective, our next year starts actually in July. So we are kind of at the end of the previous financial year and going to start on the new set of priorities. So the idea is really to come together, bring energy, and then think about how we should be thinking about our priorities moving forward. So and I think just to kind of give team now the context, Mr. V. Kumar Swamy is a seasoned professional. He has worked with PwC, Voltus, ITC Group, Siba Gaigi, Lalbhai Group, and then last 13 years with JK Singhania. And he has been handling various areas of financial banking strategy. Uh, he is CFO of JK Paper, of course, and along with that, he is kind of doing different roles as well as head of strategy, overseeing ERP implementation. He's heading the IT M&A overseas operations. So he's really coming with a very diversified background, and and I think based on what questions you may have, I think he might give us very good insights on how we can kind of think about finance of future and how can we think about our leadership capabilities in future as well. So I think with that, maybe context, sir, I will probably hand it over to you, and maybe you share some of your thoughts, and then we can take a bit of a Q&A with the team as well.
Yeah, I think it's nice to join you guys and see young faces on the screen. I think probably I'm at least 30 years too old for you. I think the guys who are just coming in, I think
क्योंकि अमित को ट्यूसडे तक डेट है इसको राइट
some echoing.
तो अमित ने ये बोला कि I'll just. Can you guys go on mute? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Is it okay now?
Yeah. All good.
When I see some of these young guys who come into the profession now, I'm so very jealous that I am not born at least 30 years younger, So much of better knowledge, so much of base to learn from, and it is fantastic. And yeah, it's been a long journey, 35 years, but very diversified for me, both in the last about 20, 25 years has been very exciting. And I have not kept myself within the boundaries of a strict financial guy. And one stark difference between India and overseas is whenever I go there as CFO and participate in their meetings, strategy meetings, machine buying, and etc. So they all keep wondering, what's your role? You're a CFO. Why are you asking these kind of questions, Karki? I mean, their CFOs never come into the picture at all in the negotiations. This one, I think India that way, I think is far more diversified and evolved than perhaps many of the Western countries. And as far as, I mean, you had given some pointers as to, what kind of,
Yep.
the things that you want to hear from me.
Yeah.
How has the industry changed in the last about, 10, 15 years is one of the questions that you had. I would say that, the more mechanization and, previously in the 80s and 90s, even if you close your books and trial balance tally, it was just a kind of a, celebration. But mechanization has taken most of the humdrum work out of the way, and we are able to do a lot more analysis, a lot more scenario buildings, and various versions and various. I mean, we just play around with the computer, Excel, etc., to come up with different results and to see how you can optimize. Number two is floating population. In fact, I may be the only person who joined the company 15 years back, I think, in my department now, whether it is the plans are here. People have, 3 to 4 years is the maximum that you see any, face in the this one. The long term. So in fact, I had a colleague who had served the company for more than about 50 years, and he just recently passed away. And you won't believe, in JKS itself, we have more than about 18,700 employees who have received their silver plaque, which is given at the end of 25 years of service.
Wow.
18,000 people
Oh my.
so far, in its history, and it includes something like 400 people across 40 years of service with the company. Those days are over now completely. So you have to work with these guys who, their commitment to the company is total, but restricted to 4 or 5 years, that kind of stuff. Then the matters have also moved away, that more of accounting and going to the same banks for funding, which is known parameters. This is the industry, this is the debt equity ratio, this is the FACR I will look at, etc. To more of governance, more of connect with the investors, more of communication, more of communicating with the various banks and financial institutions that you have to this one. The qualitative shift in content to forex, overseas borrowing, and those kinds of things. And the institutions are out of the way, and you are dealing with more banks who are more vulturish now. Previously, you got into a relationship, you stayed with it for 30, 40 years, in between drafts and in between, some palpitations here and there. Nobody really bothered. People knew that this group or this person will definitely pay back. But now, if you don't service your interest for 1 quarter, hell breaks loose, which is good in a way, bad in a way, because businesses are not so very predictable, anymore. With the openness of the economy, the risks are more. So from the client side, for him to get back to normalcy will take a longer time, but for the very same reason, the risks are more. The banks are getting more and more edgy on their loans. And of course, from the finance side, there are increasingly guys who are able to break all the ceilings and walls and all the established ratios and etc., and willing to look beyond, where there is not even a balance sheet or a P&L. They are still willing to lend based on your faith and this one. So you call him venture capital, angel investors, etc., whatever you want to call it. And even in the established, companies, for long-standing companies also, the sources have diversified very highly, which is good. So these are some of the shifts in culture, shifts in work and surroundings I find in the last about 10, 15 years. So how do you want to take it? You want to pile on questions, or you want to have?
Yeah. Maybe if somebody has any follow-up question on that from the team.
Can I go, Anand?
Yeah, please go. Please.
Yeah, and follow-up question again. It's great to hear your perspective. Last so many years, right from a manual trial balance. Now it's a big thing if it tallied also, Tally and moving SAP, all that. I think on top of that, last 2 years with the pandemic, again, there's another layer of challenges we got added for finance professionals, for the entire industry, right from CEO or all CXOs, right?
Yeah.
How do you like, what's your perspective? What are the next decade or next 5 years with the pandemic, with this new challenges what we are all facing? One is all working from home, like security aspect, privacy aspects, and also the team bonding was earlier is given thing, right? Now it's like not given thing, but it was easier. Now we see everyone spread across. Now we're always talking to screens, and this is what we have to adopt. What's your perspective, like how the life looks like for finance professionals or for the industry with the pandemic? Like to know your perspective.
The pandemic, one has to look at the long-term advantages. So there's no point in ruining your this one, etc. Short-term pains are there. Nobody can deny it, and so many losses of life definitely is a setback. But I think we'll have to look at the long term and in a very positive kind of way. And in the last since April, we have managed all our this one by sitting at home largely. And even when we attended the offices, it was hardly 50% of attendance. And that includes all the closure of accounts and financial closure of a massive project, which is almost duplicating the size of the balance sheet. All this we have managed to do by sitting at home. So that is That's been one good thing, and we have realized the range of potential range of this one. In fact, if somebody had told me this is the capability of your IT systems, your team to respond to crisis, I would have never believed. It's almost two to the band, the rubber band has been stretched by nearly 2-3 times. It is still not broken. So that's a good thing for the future. And we know the limits of our potential far better now. And so we have to take it forward from there. And in terms of the social, this one, yes, I miss the frequent interactions with people when you meet them in person, then exchange notes and share a cup of coffee. And it will have a huge social impact. And in fact, many of them are going into depression and those kinds of things. In my case, I also had COVID from April 14th to, let's say, May 14th or something. And I confined myself 21 days continuously into a 12 by 12 bedroom, never came out of that room. Initially, it was tough and physically tough and mentally depressed in the 10th to 12th, 15th day. But it also made me write some very good poems now. And I've circulated at least 5 poems now. And I'm sure I'll write more of them. Now I got the knack and the sense to how to write it now, what gets appreciated or not. So I'm sure if everybody looks within, I think there will be some positives for each of them. Organizationally also, there has been huge gains. There will be a complete collapse of transaction costs in many segments: travel, the way you do business, the way you process papers. I mean, the office costs. All this would be re-examined, and there will be the over and above the variable costs and material variable costs. That I am sure 30 to 40% of the costs are going to be clipped off. The lawyer's meeting, you go there, sit there, and bills by the hour, bills by the clock, etc. Now it's all Zoom meeting, and you don't waste your time going all the way. He doesn't waste his time at your expense all the way in the rush hour traffic. We Zoom it, and we share all documents, etc. upfront. And the questions are pointed, so the number of hours have got collapsed. So I'm sure we will gain from the pandemic. We will not lose on this one, except that of course a huge cost of medical care as well as some lives lost. But I think humanity will gain.
Any thoughts on the regulatory front, sir? No, earlier there used to be a place of work. Now it's spread. No, I don't even know where everyone is sitting. No, the place of work used to be a defined place of work. No. With that, all the tax laws, various laws were defined. Now we see that's kind of totally broken. No. My PF, my permanent establishment, or any of these things, right? And conveyance, for example, very, very, very small thing. Now we used to give work from you are at home and you are coming to office and going. There was a convenience allowance. Now that's also disappeared. Now, a lot of other things, and maybe I'm just pointing out one or two, but any thoughts on regulatory related issues?
Regulation, unfortunately catches on with the crime or what needs to be regulated much later than it should. Unfortunately, in India, the regulation is presuming things and developing regulations. In SEBI, etc., everybody is a cheat, everybody is a, short changer, dishonest or something. You keep evolving laws. They are evolving laws, rules, regulations well ahead of time, but in wrong directions. What needs to be regulated is whenever there is some behavior which is not conducive to market functioning, you need to regulate it. You can't say, the MDs, you should have at least 2 women MD, rather directors in the board. Yeah. And the MD salary should be so much only, and on top of it, so much only by way of HRA, so much by way of commission only. I think that's going a bit too far. Market systems can fail if there is no proper checks and balances by the shareholders. You ensure that the shareholders approve it and be done with it. That kind of stuff should be the approach, rather than trying to get what kind of pricing one should be placing it at, etc. is none of SEBI's concern. One is asymmetric information. If there is something, you please bridge it. That's it. So I think regulation in India has to mature. It is a little off track in my opinion, and it will obviously everything will play out. But unfortunately, we are paying a huge time cost. If it works out after 10 years, whatever damage that has been caused in the 10 years is done. And unfortunately, the regulators are not even learning from overseas. I mean, in fact, I had not written to the government. In fact, in one of these meetings suggested that before you put in any regulation, you please survey all the other, let's say, at least about 20 leading countries with whom we are competing. If there is no similar regulation in those countries, please don't. I don't know whether they have bitten the this one. Yeah. Am I answering your question, or I'm off track now?
No, no, thanks. No, it's a perspective I can understand. No, it's like various views we are getting now. It's a challenging time. No, thanks for sharing. Really helpful.
Just one question, sir, regarding the market valuation right now. And I think you must have heard it many times. And we see that Nifty is touching all-time high. And I mean, all sectors, including your organization also is probably at an all-time high. And so what is your sense of like exactly what is happening? Because the valuation keeps on going up. There's bound to be some correction, or I mean, where does it like you've seen 15 years or 20 years of this? I'm sure like you know what's going to happen the next thing, right? So
a couple of things. One is the markets always people say run ahead of the performance, etc. Maybe this is also one of the case. But this is one rare thing I'm finding, that the perceptions are lagging behind actual performance. There is an excellent article by one Mudar Patharia in Economic Times. You can read it. He is a writer of annual reports for many companies, a PR guy. This time, peculiarly, he finds that wherever he is, this one is far ahead of what he was expecting based on the TV news and various market reports, Economic Times, etc. So if you ask me whether the market is overvalued, it may be overvalued, maybe about 5-10% correction maybe for this one. Also, the Modi's efforts on formalization is also taking shape now, and especially GST. You hear that everywhere the economy is collapsing and so much down, etc. But the GST collections are going up. This is because of formalization. People have realized that it is no more possible to stay out of the system and evade taxes and be profitable. Not only the big guys have gained, but even the smaller guys have transported themselves to GST. That's a good thing. And secondly, the economy, you know how the GDP, etc., is actually calculated. It is based on a very small sample of firms. They take the balance sheet, and EBITDA plus salary becomes this GDP, and whatever plus minus they have to do, this one they do. Even the best of countries don't get it right beyond 70%. And you can imagine in India, how wrong it can be. Many of the activities which have evolved in the last few years, like the Swiggy or Amazon, or door delivery, and rural houses, etc., these were never in the GDP calculation. This one metrics, they've all come in, and we have completely not tracked these at all. Somewhere or the other, it will start showing up in the numbers, and I think that's what is happening. Market is recognizing it perhaps, and maybe there is some opinion that market is not recognizing it as fast as it should. In fact, we have a forex consultant who maybe consults about 100 companies or so, out of which about 60-70 are exporters, importers, big time, and 30-40 are manufacturing companies in Indian sphere. In fact, about 3 or 4 weeks this one, he said the economy is far ahead, and he won't be surprised if we deliver that 11-12% growth, real growth, despite whatever has happened with the second wave, with going by his clients' performances. So I think there is some, our perception is that market is running ahead. It may be 5-10% correction will be good in my opinion, but I think there is sufficient, underlying this one. On top of it, the liquidity aspect. People pump in so much of bloody liquidity, it has to go somewhere. It is also finding its place in stock markets. That's the one good thing which has happened is the equity culture has caught on. Like India, when I wrote the book in 2014, there were hardly 2% of the people, without eliminating the duplications, that is, who were investing in equity. There were several CFOs I have spoken to, including some which are billion-dollar companies, who are saying that they don't invest in equity. That has changed. Many small-time investors have come and invested either through mutual fund or directly. And that's a good thing. You need equity because it is capital. And I think one Ruchita Sen has put up her hand. If you can.
Uh, yeah, Anshu actually had a question before me, so
Okay, Anshu. Yeah.
request Anshu maybe to go ahead.
Sure. I just put it in a very short sentence, meaning you just now highlighted that for an organization, team is important. And these days, the tenure of a team member is decreasing slowly and slowly. So, in this scenario, how do you build and basically sustain and engage team as such that deliver high? That was
Usually a guy takes maybe about 3 to 4 months to get into the groove, I think. Okay. And if your existing mahol, if you understand, everybody seems to be a Indian here, so I guess they will understand the word. I think they can get into the team very quickly and start contributing. The way I have worked is I am constantly on training them for better and better days, either through giving them work which is slightly above their current capabilities and asking them to do, perform, etc. Send them to various training programs or something. And my effort is, if his required skills is to perform at this level, he has to be, knowledge wise at least this level, so that whatever options that he has to generate in his current current work or something, he is always ahead. He's able to generate more options. He's able to think of different thoughts, etc., as well as optimize his work. So I keep great emphasis on training as well as teamwork. We have periodically meetings, maybe once in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, where we chit chat. I don't monitor any work. What have you done? What have you done or something? I just ask them what all good things you have done in the last 2-3 weeks. If it is on work, all the best. If it is not, you can on the family friend, with friends, girlfriends, or wherever you want, wherever it is, something good that you have done, you please share it with us. Over a period of time, the trust and confidence builds. This one first 2 times is a little slow to get off, very reluctant, etc. Once sees others are also discussing whatever nonsensical things, also he gets into the groove very fast and he opens up. And we don't punish people by shouting at them or something. Fear as a motivating factor has lost its relevance now. Nobody is really bothered. If you shout too much, by the end of the day he's willing to walk out. So what will you beat them with? It's simply impossible to bludgeon anybody to this one. So we motivate them by this one. If fears, if there are some minor here and there, etc., you tolerate. And if it is extreme, obviously you have to ask them to go, or some extreme measures will have to be taken. But that's once in this one blue moon kind of happening. Once they are into the team, and they know the expectations of the team around them is very high, they raise the level of performance to that level. In fact, in this last round, I'm telling you, we have about 15 people here for consolidation and board matters, investor relations, all this taken together. Between, let's say, February or March to, let's say, May end, at least 1/3 of them were COVID patients sitting at home, not able to come to office or even attend the office from work from home kind of stuff. There was not a single call to me asking for intervention. ये नहीं कर रहा है, वो नहीं हो रहा है, आदमी दे दो, hands दे दो, कुछ नहीं था. Wherever it was, if something was not happening, somebody else used to step in, or he used to request some help, or he used to take it upon himself and do it. Everything happened according to the prefixed calendar, which was fixed without the COVID hangover. Everything happened. So for this one, the teamwork, if there is a work on the table, if you see that there is nobody else to pick it up, you pick it up and do it. And that requires all-round skills. Not that everybody is skilled, equally, but if it is within my skill, I'll pick it up and do it. Otherwise, alert others who can pick it up and do it. That kind of stuff. So teamwork, ability to initiate the member into the team very fast, openness. In fact, I tell my people that the way I want to have culture within the team is like exactly the culture during our degree days in the college. College, when you go as a gang, drag anybody, and have a ball of a time. That's the kind of culture I want to have, and that I have found delivers the best results.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Ruchita, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Anshu. So I had a question regarding technology.
Yeah.
I know you discussed a few examples in finance, like how finance is leveraging technology. But as a company, how are you strategizing and leveraging technology? If I look at your company, your traditional product is a competitor to technology, right? So how are you kind of seeing the growth as as digitization is coming up more than
See, as far
leveraging?
as our end product is concerned, paper is what you mean, and the India hasn't even for the other economies which had peaked in terms of reach that potential in the paper consumption, the technology played a crucial role, and it brought it down. But our product life cycle within India is such that we haven't even crossed maybe 25-35% of its true potential. After all, people would need to use paper. I mean, there's no denying it. Maybe not, 2 reams of paper per person, every year, maybe 1 ream of this one. But you look at the number of people who have never even seen paper and the education revolution which is taking place. All those people are going to come into the market. So our growth rates, which used to be 10-12%, will come down to maybe 3-4%, 4-5%. We had to be prepared for it. But within that, how do we strategize? We have to become the lowest cost producers, which we are already. And this one, biotechnology, we have used very rapidly in terms of growing the trees faster, better yield. In terms of your technology, the technology that you are talking about, yes, we went into ERP systems, etc. in 2007, upgraded it once in 2013, once more in 2018 or 19. Now we are into an organizational-wide transformation exercise of digitization, including digital decision-making, data analysis, and using artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc. We did have some experimentation in our new project in Orissa. We hooked up with some Austrian, German companies who were permanently monitoring this one. We have seen some good results, and that is being carried to the other functions as well, including sales, procurement, finance, and various other matters also. So I guess we are there maybe in the next about 12 to 18 months with the best of technology products available in the operations. That will cover even the marketing and tracking and supply chain logistics, everything.
Interesting. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so maybe I can take the next question. I'm changing the gears there a bit and want to kind of learn a bit more from your experiences on, like, one is the traditional CFO role, which probably you would have played in many companies, but I think I see you kind of getting out of the traditional comfort zone as well and really heading the company from a business perspective, or really contributing to the growth of company, or probably writing the books also, like, and your title of the book has been Making Growth Happen in India. So wanted to get some more perspective on that how do you see a CFO or finance organization kind of playing a bigger role on really growing the company, and what kind of areas people can get into which are not traditional finance, but getting out of that comfort zone and then really contributing to the overall organization success?
No, I think first of all, you have to perform your role very well. Otherwise, there's no need to get outside your territory. But I think that also depends upon continuous interaction with the other functions. In fact, when I was in CBA Geigy, I was a controller of the divisional accounts or something. But you won't believe, I have spent about 60 days in the marketplace. Marketplace, not wining, dining or something. I have traveled with the salesman from door to door, shop to shop, where in many parts of the country the wholesale market takes place only at night times for buying. So I have done that trips also, nearly 60 days in 3 years. So that gives you a sense of perspective which is completely different when you're sitting inside the four walls of your room. And I have gone to marketing conferences. I have sat with production people. I've sat with this one. In fact, I happen to be a trained trainer in TQM as well as JITS, which is completely off bounds for normal finance people. And when you develop perspective by going to the roots, going to the source, going to the ultimate things where the action takes place, you do tend to get a little bit of a different perspective, which during discussions, etc., you make more useful interventions rather than theoretically pedantic and that kind of, which only irritates people. Who the hell is this guy, coming to tell me about marketing this or something? And you also should be equally, adept at accepting suggestions from the other people. In fact, even today, some of these distributors are my best friends here. They have no connection with me. In fact, sometimes I have to only, show them the stick for not paying up or something. They are some of the best friends I have. Some of them discussion even politics and religion and, that kind of stuff. So finance, I mean, if you want to enlarge your role, you have to enlarge your mindset, experience, and you have to go see places, interact with people, etc. You get a lot of perspective. With that perspective, you have to grow, and I'm sure if there is an opportunity, organization would like to avail it and push you. In fact, my boss also is rather the president of the company is also a chartered accountant. He's an accountant basically. So these opportunities are there, and I know a friend who is only a polytechnic. Polytechnic means it's not even a full engineering degree. It's a 2.5-year diploma after at that time 11th, maybe after 12th now. He rose to be the director of manufacturing in Ford at the age of 40. And later on, they sent him as MD to one of these Westion subsidiaries in Thailand, overlooking China, etc. Today is one of the CEOs of big Chinese company. So it's all a matter of perspective, how you're built in, how you've this.
Thank you. And any perspectives from your book? You've authored a couple of books.
So I will show you 2 books, and I hope some of you guys at least buy it. This is the earlier book. Okay. Oh, sorry. This is the earlier book, 2014, Making Growth Happen in India. And this is my latest book, which is Weird Adventures and Uncommon Lessons. This is my latest book. And the earlier book was about programs. And I found, and I've traveled to about 50 countries now. My work, I was exploring plantations basically. And of course, in Western Europe, finance, sourcing finance for our this one projects. I have, since it's plantation, you have to go right down to the farmer, the village panchayat people in Swaziland, Vietnam, Myanmar, and all those kinds of big places. You tend to develop a perspective which is completely different from the formal economic times kind of structure that you see. And you come up with so many programs working in those countries, so many things which are working in these countries, which can be usefully transplanted into India. India, I think, is more top-down kind of approach. Some economists sitting there, RB Governor, and I found they know what is the policy. It has to be dictated that way, and it goes through, which quite often doesn't tally with the realities of India. Unfortunately, we have come to depend too much on Western economies also. Something which Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and Vietnam are completely avoiding. They are homegrown economists who knows the reality of truth. They are designing much better policies. So what this book talks about is the various programs, not at the policy level, which can deliver you employment and lower level, subdivisional level growth. And when you aggregate it, you can easily achieve 10 to 12% growth. And there is no magic potion more than that required. And that's what this talks about. And various kinds of programs. I'll just give one example of the perspective that you can develop. I was in Myanmar, and they had given the plantation 12,500 acres for development of trees. It's a virgin forest, as virgin as the God created it. There were elephants, etc., roaming around, and and we were one day surveying the area to find out how to stop the elephants, coming into our territory. And some, as per the World Bank standards, this one, etc. One, I mean, a consultant who's also a consultant to the World Bank also at a company, draw a trench and put, a concrete wall, all these kinds of things, which 12,500 acres, you can imagine it will be more than the cost of drawing the plantation itself. Huge amount of expenditure, and electric wire fencing, I vetoed it, and I can't come into the elephant's territory and start harming it. So, and during which one unpud tribal local Myanmaris, he was also watching. For him, it's fun, and some outsiders are coming into my village, like we all do. If Bill Gates were to walk on the Delhi street, there'll be a crowd running behind him, that kind of stuff. And after half an hour or something, he asked a local, guy whether, he can give a solution. I said, no harm here. I mean, I can this one, sir. Elephants can be easily tamed. We tame it in the village. How? Sir, elephants are afraid of chili powder. Because once they started sneezing, it is impossible for them to control it, and it's massive disturbance to them. So you put chili powders all over wherever you don't want to. Just 1 minute. Hello, I'll call you. Yeah. So chili powder all over, and this one. Secondly, elephants are afraid of bees, and you give me money, I'll put some bee hives everywhere, and all it takes is 1 or 2 stings for one elephant. That's it. The whole herd hears it. Like that, he had suggested one more thing also. And of course, you have to take care of the elephant, for which some wild bananas will have to be grown along the path you want it to go. And they migrate once this way and once that way. You grow all the wild bananas along with your trees according to a stretched plan. And they will be very disciplined. They are not like men, going all over and hunting other people's livelihoods. They will be very responsible. The whole solution was, instead of spending 4-5 million, it got done maybe in 10,000 rupees. That's a perspective. That's a knowledge available at this one, at the ground level, program level, this one that is possible. And that book is talking about this one. And of course, this book, which is the newest one, released about 3 or 4 months back. And I keep talking to these kinds of people often during my forays into street vendors and, samosa besnewala and chai wala, including Amit Shah, I have spoken once. And, various kind of perspectives that they, give you. And this shares a lot of such perspectives. I have talked to a terrorist, and I've talked to an ex-terrorist who was part of ISIS in Syria. And, this shares a lot of such perspectives. And the first book, I am very hopeful somewhere at the other. In fact, after the first book was released, the Andhra Pradesh government chief minister then, that's a newly formed, this one, Chandrababu Naidu had read it. And his chief secretary also had read it. And they invited me to participate in reviewing their 15-year program. And I was one of the peer reviewers working apart from IIM Ahmedabad, which was tasked to review it. And I think one of these big fours prepared a 1,700-page document. And they had stopped with 9.5% growth rate as the maximum potential. They said we want it to be increased to 12. And I did give them suggestions where it is lacking, where it can be easily taken up to 12%.
All right. Anybody else? Any questions? I know I'm being conscious of time because I think we have taken more time from sir than what we blocked for. But if any last question, we can take that.
If I can just ask last question.
Yeah.
Sir, from your perspective, with so much experience, so much knowledge, what is the next frontier which you want to basically achieve? Meaning you have been a CFO, you have written books. What next? In fact, you have given advice, like you shared, to Andhra Pradesh government. What is next in your?
In fact, of course, he lost power, and recently we regrouped, and we were also working on this COVID matter. In fact, one of the members of the group is also developing RT-PCR by artificial intelligence. He has analyzed coughs of various kinds and what cough constitutes from a throat which is infested with COVID. So all that you have to do is pick up the phone, use his app, and cough for 6 seconds. Within 30 minutes, it will tell you with 70% positive certainty and 90% negative certainty whether you have COVID or not. The best they have been able to achieve with RT-PCR is only 62% on the positive side, which means if they say yes, you are 62% likely that you have it, 38% you don't. On the negative side, they have reached 70, I think. So, we are, I'm part of that group, and very sensible group, not given to all politicking and, mudslinging. And if he perhaps become the chief minister once again, maybe, they're planning some kind of, association I'll have. Otherwise, I'm already past my retirement age. I will probably go into more of research and trying to connect the ground realities with the theories and the kind of designs that we are coming up with. So I keep talking to some people already in the government and through FICCI forums as well as direct contacts. I try to enhance my time in those directions.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
All right. So thank you so much, sir, for your time. And I am sorry again for the initial disturbances which we had in joining, but I think I really enjoyed the session and really learned a lot in
Thank
terms
you
of
so
how
much,
you've been.
and it was a pleasure for me to trying to interact with you people and get your sense of perspective. And have a great career, and diversify, and be good. And it was indeed a pleasure to be interacting with you. If you're, making any films or something or recording, kindly send it to me. I'll also put it in my YouTube and social media.
Sure.
Say hi to that young one. That's the future, actually. Great guy, and I'm sure he has more technical knowledge than you at this stage.
Absolutely.
Definitely me, of course. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.